So I am growing out my pixie again. Hi friend, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I just have to quickly say thank you so much for 7K. I seriously cannot believe I reached that milestone. Very grateful for each and every one of you who have joined the family. If you have not yet, hopefully you will by the end of this video. I make content all about beauty and real life, so I'd love to see you here next time. So let's get into the topic of this video, and that is growing out your hair, girl. Specifically, growing out your very short hair, your pixie cut. If you clicked on my video, I'm guessing we might have some similarities. You might have some curly hair. That can pose a challenge in and of itself. It can be awkward, it can be frustrating. So I am growing out my pixie again. I kind of laugh at myself every time I just like say that out loud because I have done it several times. I feel pretty good about the reason I'm growing it out this time. Like, I'm sure that it's my decision. So actually that makes me realize we should just take a little beat here, and I would love for you to ask yourself why you're growing out your hair, because that reason really needs to withstand the challenge that it is to grow out your hair. And that's why I a lot of times have not finished that grow out process, because my reason was very fickle. It was mostly rooted in other people wanting to see my hair long and me wanting my hair short. And at the end of the day, I did what I wanted. I cut my hair back short. This time I have different reasons. I feel really good about them. They are very much my own. So that is something to consider if it's the right time to grow out your hair, because it is a huge commitment and it's gonna ask a lot of you some days. I think it was somewhere between 2 and 3 years ago, I did a no cut year, and that's exactly what it sounds like. I didn't cut my hair for an entire year, and I documented the entire process, mostly on my Instagram. And I think I was just starting to get on TikTok at that time, because I had to take that really high commitment, all or nothing approach in order to not cut my hair back short again. So I didn't even do any trims, and I just went for a full year writing it out. At the end of that no cut year, I decided to give myself a very cute but very generous haircut that took me kind of back towards pixie territory. And then with having my second child, I ended up going back very short during that pregnancy, because if you get it, you get it. Anyways, here I am again. I've actually been growing out my hair at the time of this video for about 4 months, just kind of leaving it alone. But I did give myself a haircut last month, and it was kind of like my last haircut. It was a haircut to set me up for growing my hair out. And I'm going to show you what I did and why for that haircut. So I was also blonde and growing out my blonde because I knew if I was going to grow out my hair, that continuing to retouch it blonde was not going to be conducive to growing healthy hair or retaining length. Doing the blonde was kind of like my last hurrah before I got into really committing to the health of my hair and growing it out. So if you are planning on processing your hair along the way, just know that it is going to be a hindrance to growing healthy hair and retaining length, because your new growth is going to be battling the breakage that you continue to introduce to your hair through that chemical processing. So along with that last haircut, I also colored my hair back dark, and it actually didn't really retain the dark color because it had been lightened so much. So as you can see, the ends of my hair is still light, but it held on to a little bit of that color. But in general, I'm like a brunette again. And I've been really focused on nursing these ends back to health. So while I'm not doing a full commitment, no cut year this time, I'm kind of still taking the same approach in the sense that unless I absolutely have to, I'm not even gonna trim my hair. I really want to be just hands off and let it do its thing, because I know myself, I cut my own hair, I get very scissor happy. Anytime I pull those scissors out and I start shaving my hair, I start cutting into my hair, I kind of run the risk of going a bit crazy and ending up with something that is cute, but a lot shorter than I intended. Maintaining your progress is so important. So if you can, try to keep your hands off of your hair as well. So let's get into this last haircut. What was it and why? So there's basically 2 different ways that you can approach growing out the length of your hair. You can grow it out with a shape, or you can grow it out without a shape. When I say with a shape, what I mean is that kind of like taper that my pixie cut already had, of getting gradually shorter down here, longer at the top. As that grows out, it kind of becomes like a heart shape. That has always been really flattering, really cute, and just kind of a way to keep my hair looking cute and intentional throughout the grow out process. Every time I grow out my hair with that kind of shape, people are always asking me like what my haircut was, as if I had just cut my hair. I just got this style that's like super nice and intentional, and it's actually a style that I have not cut or touched in months. It's just hair that's doing its own thing, but hair that was initially shaped to grow out in that way. So I find that heart shape is super cute, and that's pretty much what I'm doing again this time. Now, the downside of that approach is that by keeping the hair on the lower section of your head like shorter and more tapered around the perimeter, you won't be able to get your hair into a ponytail or just like tied back as soon as you would if you had just left that hair completely alone, which is like the other way to go about it. And that's more like a one length situation where your hair is just mostly the same length all around, and you see that mullet sooner. And the hair around the perimeter, so specifically like the hair around your ears and the back, gets long. So you might like tuck it behind your ear or like try to style it in different ways. But the benefit of letting that hair grow longer is that hair is crucial to pulling your hair back and it's staying up without falling out. So I know by going with this like heart-shaped haircut that I'm not going to be able to get those first ponytails as soon as I would if I just left the hair completely alone, let that hair get a little bit more awkward more quickly. What sucks is this hair, even though I'm maintaining the shape, if I'm truly going to grow out my hair, it's gonna have to hit those lengths anyway. So there's really no avoiding it. But with the way that I'm doing it, I can kind of graduate into like an A-line situation to a one length, and I'm gonna go about it that way. I hope that I'm making sense here. Those are kind of like the two lanes that you can go down, which brings me to this last haircut that I did. I left as much length on my hair that had been growing out for the previous 3 months. I just cleaned up my hair around my ears and down towards the nape of my neck, and I kind of left the top and around the sides to grow. Of course, I had to kind of like connect the haircut from what I cut so that everything is like gradual and smooth for the most part, right? But I did a haircut, but I did leave most of my hair alone. It was actually a very modest trim for me. I did not see very much hair on the ground. So we were successful. I kept it cute. It was a nice little modest trim. It was exactly what it needed to be. I do want to say though, if you're leaning towards kind of just completely leaving your hair alone because it's important to get your hair back into a ponytail sooner, just be careful with that, because like anything else, stretching your hair back, you know, scraping it back into those nice tight little ponytails. And when you really only have like a nub of a ponytail, you really have to sleek that hair back. So let's say if you're doing that on like wet hair, which is what I have to do to get my hair really slick back, or just wearing it like that for a long time, that can introduce damage to your hair. So like breakage around that ponytail line, and constantly stretching your curl pattern in order to get it in those slick back ponytails. I just know from experience that that's a slippery slope for me because the hair is so awkward. I start to rely on those slick back little ponytails and buns, and I start to break my hair. I start to break down the curl pattern in the front of my hair where my hair is finer. My hair, like in this section of my head, doesn't tolerate anything. So when I start doing those slick backs constantly, I see that hair just go limp. So my choice not to take that route is also to stop me from running into a bad habit that I know that I run into. So that's just something to keep in mind. Along with that, I'm also going to be avoiding heat. I'm not gonna say that I absolutely will not do it like once or twice maybe next year or the year after for fun, but I'm really gonna try to refrain from using heat on my hair because my hair also takes to heat damage pretty quickly. I really want to see my hair for exactly what it naturally is this time, and so I don't want to do anything to hinder seeing my curls just like absolutely thrive, even if that means that I'm doing less ponytails, I'm not using heat, I'm not coloring my hair anymore. Those are all things that I'm gonna kind of leave behind me in the name of having healthy, longer hair. Another thing I want to mention is like protective styles. So for instance, like singles braids, any sort of like braided up protective style, faux locks, whatever, where you are attaching like hair extension to your head, that does cause weight to be pulled at the root of your hair, just depending on what the style is, how it's done, how your hair tolerates that. You also can experience substantial breakage with those protective styles too. So I'm not trying to burst your bubble and say, You can't do your first opportunities for ponytails. You can't get braids. You can't do this. You can't do that. I'm just being real with you about what might actually take your progress backwards, take the health of your hair backwards when we want to make progress, okay? So you calculate the risk and reward, you make your own decisions all along the way, but I just want to equip you with realistic expectations. So you might be wondering how long this is going to take to grow out your hair. I'm not going to lie to you, sis. I'm gonna say, based off experience, to get to your jaw, to your shoulders, to get out of an area where somebody could just look at you and know that you're going through something, knowing that you're trusting the process with your hair. And I said this in an older video where I did a Q&A on if you should get a pixie cut or not. It takes about 2 years to grow out. You're eventually gonna hit a point where you can get a nice little one length situation going, whether that is kind of up here at the jaw, down here at the shoulders and beyond. It's gonna take about 2 years for all your hair to catch up to that area. You know, if you stay committed and you're keeping those ends healthy, of course. As I say that, I'm sitting here like, man, 2 years, right? But I'm gonna try to have as much fun as I can along the way. I'm gonna try to just pour as much love and acceptance over my natural hair along the way as I can. And that's really the only perspective that you can have if you want to be successful in this. We're all gonna have our bad hair days, okay? We're all gonna have our days where we're like, I just don't know what to do with this. Hopefully I can help you with that because I'm growing out my hair as well, so we can kind of be in solidarity. And of course, I'm gonna be bringing the content on all the creative hairstyles that we can do along the way and what I'm trying out. So with that said, I just want to re-emphasize that you are doing this for yourself and, you know, for good reason, whatever that is that's near and dear to you. Or maybe you're just like a naturally disciplined person. In that case, I'm very envious of you. But if your reason for doing this is because of anybody else's opinion, even your boyfriend, ultimately that reason is not going to withstand what you really want. If you're not ready to grow your hair out, or if you can't accept the way you look through the awkward phases long enough to actually get through them. So just know what you can do, what you can remind yourself to keep you on track and see this through. So if now is the time that you are gonna make the commitment to grow out your hair, I'm not judging you, girl. It could be the second, third, 10th time that you've tried to grow out your hair. For me, it's definitely upwards of like the 8th or 9th time. But like I said, I'm confident in my reasons this time. I've had a really good long run with having pixie cuts and short hair, so I guess only time can tell if I am serious. So make sure you stick around and let's grow and just like flourish our hair together. I would be super excited to know that I have friends going on this journey with me. And don't forget that I am here for you with the hair tutorials, hairstyles, hair product recommendations. I am your girl. I make content all about beauty and your life, and I would love if you join the family, so don't forget to subscribe before you go. I hope to see you in my next video. Best of luck, sis. We got this, okay? See you in my next one. Bye.